but the gal so tall. Young man rhythm got a hold of me too. I got a rockin' pneumonia and a boogie.
Like the water filter?
No.
What do you mean?
What are you doing?
What are you
What are
doing?
you, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's just a YouTube show where Paul Scheer interviews people, and it's all just promotion. It's ads for Marvel, basically, but they squeeze content out of it.
Okay.
And it's him and just some Marvel suit or something, some executive. But, the funniest one. The guy that wears, the tie around his head like a bandana at the office party.
Yeah.
And, and they just talk to famous people.
Okay.
So what you want to know is why Gillian Jacobs was on the last show. And the thing is, the answer to that question, if you'll let me answer, is that she is directing a... Marvel has a new documentary series called 616 on Disney Plus, and she directed one of the episodes.
Oh. Has she directed anything before?
What am I, her manager?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So what is her episode about? Did she talk about that?
I don't know.
Okay,
this is not sexist, but I would imagine it's probably female characters or women in the thing, because she seemed to know a lot about Louise Simonson.
Okay,
and
sure.
They ostensibly they come on and they choose a comic book or a series to talk about, and she wanted to talk about Power Pack. And I was like,
I don't even know anything about Power
Well,
Pack.
neither did Gillian Jacobs before she got a Marvel Unlimited subscription.
Uh-huh.
And now she does. Now she knows all about Power Pack.
Tell me about Power Pack.
That's not what this show is.
Oh, okay.
If people want to know what Power Pack is, they can follow us on Just Enough Trope.
All right.
When our show comes out this Sunday, very late at night, probably Monday morning. And they call that a tease in the industry. Do you think anybody will bite?
Maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
yeah.
that'll definitely be in our news segment for Just Enough Trope this next show coming up.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds. It sounds. It's one syllable and good. So far, you're not multisyllabic just yet.
Thanks so much for that.
Thanks so much for that. We're still doing it. Hey, hello, how are you?
Wow. Don't compare me to Vaughn. Wow.
Until you take your shirt off, we'll never know.
No.
He says things in threes and he has tiny nipples. We know this about him.
Uh-huh. Great.
So if you want the comparison, all right, whatever.
I
this
do
is
not.
bad. This is really bad. This is our worst start.
Wow.
You said that we weren't going to have any kind of thing, and this is what happens. We're back to talk about films, classic and modern, for your quarantainment. And a little update on the quarantainment. It's less than it was.
Is it?
The
Well,
quarantine.
I suppose...
I've just got those words mixed up now.
What?
I just asked people how they're doing during the quarantainment, and they're like, the hell are you talking about? It's less. Wisconsin's open.
Yeah, should we be excited about that?
We could drive to Wisconsin right now and go to Burger King or whatever.
Do we want to do that?
I started missing restaurants it was not immediately, but it was like 5 weeks ago. So I'm a month out of restaurants. And notice I said Burger King. I'm not even talking about
like a sit-down restaurant.
A sit-down place, a steakhouse, TGI Fridays, a nice Thai place where you have to wear a tie. Ooh, there you go. You call it black tie. Oh, it's a soul. We get in trouble if we don't have an intro. So the point is that it is less. How do you feel?
I don't feel any different.
I don't feel different. Oh, 3. You got me on that one.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's still horrible. People are still dying.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court overturned the decision to keep the place closed.
Wow.
Wisconsin's like, you're all right. You're okay. See the effect of lethal amounts of cheese and being drunk all the time has on statehood, and it is fractious and fractured.
There are a lot of politicians who hail from Wisconsin who I'm not a fan of, so not saying anything bad about the state as a whole, but
I will.
Like
they've seen socialism in action. They all own the Green Bay Packers or something, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It's like citizen owned, isn't it?
I don't know.
So anyway. Not good enough. More cheese,
More, yeah.
drunker, and all in public spaces.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean,
do you feel any different?
well, I mean, personally, I just
Yeah.
meant how do you feel? This has been the problem. I meant how do you feel about the fact that parts of the country are open. Country.
I like
got
it.
3 syllables instead of country. See, I'm trying to get them in for you. You're missing them. Part of it's open, part of it's not. And, I don't even mean the political aspect of it necessarily. I guess we have to talk about it because
How can you
everything is
not?
politicized.
Yeah.
And we've turned, a virulent plague into just another field in the culture war.
Yep.
But that being said, I feel it's weird and disorienting because, and this was always going to be this way. We've got 50, maybe 51 places that have to make a decision about this. Where are we at on American Samoa?
I have no idea.
My civics is bad, so I can't. I don't know the difference.
I don't know.
between
Puerto Rico's
American
in there
Samoa
somewhere.
and Puerto Rico.
I don't
yeah.
know about American.
But it was always
Samoa.
going to be people doing it somewhat piecemeal, but probably around dates like the 1st or the 15th or whatever, not arbitrary, right?
Right.
And so, like, Wisconsin's like, no, 7 drunk people in Wisconsin, open that thing up, and then in New York just extended it to like the middle of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And which they had already done like from before. So a
So now they're
couple
to,
days
like-
out for the middle of the month, we'll
Right.
decide if we're going to extend it again.
Right.
Of course, they're the ones who are like, putting people in mass graves. So
Yes.
I'd expect them to think about it differently.
Yes.
And then Minnesota seems to be, we got a real hard line. Well, people seem to be, okay, maybe, there's people outside my house. Maybe we can pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I know. Well, I mean, like, I was
Just
talking.
another 45 seconds.
Okay.
We're done.
Were people already meeting in groups of 10 or less? I mean, that's
We
probably already happening.
We won't give it away, but we live in a relatively major conurbation.
Yeah.
How many people you see with masks? Besides none. I mean, it would always be besides none. But I mean, the answer
I would
is
say
none.
less than half.
The answer is none.
Less than half.
And why is the answer none?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just not, I get food. I got a guy who's is in an NBC suit. And then we ordered chicken dinner tonight for the weekend. And the guy was just in like a zip-up hoodie.
Sure.
And so there wasn't even a hood. It was just a, track jacket or something like
Sure.
that.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I've got mixed feelings about it opening up. I mean, I guess
Well,
my
I asked
only
you about that before at the very beginning.
I know. My only concern is like if it gets worse again, and I know
Here's
that
the
our
problem.
governor has said he will dial it back, like in a heartbeat.
Here's the problem. Signaling. Right? One side is nothing at all, no masks. I wish I was at Del Taco right now. Mm-hmm. And the other side's like, that's bad. It's like, okay, but what's the alternative? And like people who are wrong, but they're out in front of a state house, and yes, they represent 0.00001% of that voting block, but they look good there in the paper. Mm-hmm. And then there's a vast, ironically, silent majority sitting at home going, well, I don't know if I should go. I'm probably going to keep ordering in. As I
Right.
look at this chart from the CDC that has 13 different statistical companies all weighing in on projections, and the thing is going up, the deaths, and every one of them is some positive curve. None of them are flatlining or going down.
Flatlining, yeah.
So, see you on Monday in the office.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about a time when they didn't have anything, antibiotics,
True.
anything to take care of a plague or something virulent, or even just stubbing your toe. I love in these old movies, people get like shot 15 times, but then they're like, I think you'll be okay. And then
Right.
they're up and around again. It's like, no, every single one of those bullets was just covered in typhus or something like
Probably.
that. So they're all dead.
Yeah.
But not in this movie because that wouldn't be sexy. The movie we're talking about is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid,
Yes.
a 1969 film directed by George Roy Hill, written by William Goldman. Mm-hmm. Yes, that William Goldman.
I don't know who he is.
All the President's Men.
Oh, okay.
The Princess Bride.
Oh, okay.
Marathon Man.
Yeah. All right.
Novelist / screenwriter.
/ screenwriter. Yeah, okay.
Did we talk about Michael Chabon on this show? I can't remember anymore. It all runs into
I honestly don't remember. I'm pretty sure we talked about him on... Was it just...
Doesn't matter, killing time.
Anyways.
Tell us what happens in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Okay, so Butch Cassidy and the Sundance is the leader of a gang, the Hole in the Wall gang, and the Sundance Kid is his right-hand man. And they rob banks and trains and that sort of thing. That's pretty much what they do. And towards the beginning of the film, they pull this train robbing job, and there's this group of trackers that come after them, and these guys are resilient and do not give up and can track them over anything. So they know they're like in trouble. And then they seek out the Sundance Kid's girlfriend, Etta, and together they all decide they're going to escape to Bolivia and have a new life there. But their old life chases them down there, and it doesn't end too well for them.
Yeah. Did you know that the role of Sundance was originally offered to Jack Lemmon?
Really?
Well, you just keep thinking, Butch. That's what you're best at.
What?
Yeah. Can you imagine going?
What?
Can you imagine going to? Can you imagine going to the Sundance Film Festival in Flushing, New York, or something like that?
No. Yeah. What? I don't. Okay. Wait. So is the Sundance Film Festival named after this film?
Folks, you're seeing it right now. Let's watch. Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
And I knew that, but only now am I just thinking, that's pretty stupid. It's like so stupid.
Wow.
Well, you can't call it like the All the President's Men Film Festival or
No.
the Condor Festival or something like that.
No.
But still, it's like, I mean, when you don't know where it comes from, it's fine. And then when you realize that it's like, you know, his iconic movie role that pretty much, you know, I mean, he's around before that, but
Yeah.
kind of launched him. Screw you. It's so dumb.
You mean like it was?
Be a terrible president.
It was like a dumb choice for him to pick that film.
No, it's to call the festival.
To call the
Let's
festival
talk about
That's
the
what
movie.
I mean.
Let's talk about the movie.
Wow.
So anyway, I had never seen this. That's what this show is for, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unless we just watch a bunch of really depressing movies and then I pick one that I have seen a million times, just to cool off.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you say Catherine Ross even once?
I
You're
didn't
a bad
say
person.
actually any of their names.
You're a bad person.
I know Paul Newman is
by the process of elimination,
Oh.
I think people could figure out that Paul Newman is Butch Cassidy.
okay. Right.
Let's just continue forward, okay?
Wow. You're just tearing into me today.
But no, you are determined to drag your feet.
No, I'm not.
With these things go over an hour, and they should be like a half an hour tops.
Continue.
No, I think we should argue about this some more.
No, I don't think we should.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, I like this movie.
Mm-hmm. And
People were really impressed with less back then, weren't they?
Wow.
I don't think the movie ages well.
Okay.
That's the only way I can describe how kind of... Is it plussed or... Are you non-plussed or are you plussed? Do you want to be plussed? If
I
you're
don't
plussed,
know
are you
the
like,
answer to that.
whoa, I can't believe this. And non-plussed is like, I don't think so. Whereas non-plussed, plussed is getting not...
I feel like I've never heard the word plus before.
I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah, okay.
Look, I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was a really romantic, and I don't mean it like kissy-kissy, but I mean, like a romantic tragedy of the West.
Yes. I would agree with that.
It's, these two guys, like I said, they'd been around, but this cemented them as like leading men, and they would continue to be leading men for the rest of their careers.
Mm-hmm.
It won 4. It's all over the AFI list. We know that.
Yeah,
and it won 4 Oscars. Screenplay, which we'll get to. Cinematography, which it absolutely deserves. And then score and song. So I think that should tell you that I don't feel like there's a ton of substance here, and there doesn't have to be. But for a movie that is definitely in the top 25, has to be, right, on AFI?
Probably, yeah.
Top 50. There's just not much to it. And let's talk about the script right now.
Let's do it.
Everything in the script is, in the movie, is the script, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except for the cinematography, the performances, everything else, everything everybody brings to it, right? But, you know,
Right.
everything that's in the script is part of it. So that I think that it's good, but the dialogue is, I don't think it's that great.
No,
And-
I mean, when I sit and think about it, there's nothing really special about it.
Really?
Yeah.
You're thinking about it.
Yes.
Well, let me tell you what I mean before you blanket agree with everything I say. Because, like, for instance, oh no, I'm not going to fight until we get the rules straight. There's no rules in a knife fight. Well, if there's no rules, kicks him in the balls. Like, that's great. That's great dialogue. But lots of it is, it's all just catchphrasey, you know? When you watch, like, Lethal Weapon 18, and they're like, I got a bad feeling about this, Raj. And he's like, I'm too old for this shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
here we go again. All the
Right.
cliched dialogue. I don't know if those cliches existed, like, before this, but they definitely did after. And, like, 50% of the... actually, like, 50% of the movie, they're not talking, because they're just like, who are these guys? They say it, like, 17 times.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's all like, I can't believe we did that. Another fine mess you've got us into. It's all just like this kind of glib dialogue. And I know that it's, you know, supposed to be kind of serious. It's not supposed to be. It is a tragedy because, you know, it's about the sort of death of the life of the bandit in the West, the
lifestyles,
romantic
yeah.
West. But they sure don't say any of that. I guess you show and not tell, but they sure don't say any of that.
No.
Better movie that has the same theme? The Wild Bunch. I own 2 Blu-ray copies of The Wild Bunch just so I can give one away when I meet somebody who hasn't watched The Wild Bunch.
Have I seen the?
I don't
Wild
care.
Bunch? Okay.
And so it's just better, you know, for that reason. And so this is fine with 3 good-looking leads and some really weird decisions. Let's open it with like a silent film.
Yeah, I don't. Was that supposed to be like?
And then halfway
this
through-
is like the real Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid or something like that.
No,
Was that
it's supposed to be the complete opposite. It's supposed to be if, you know, at the end of Bonnie and Clyde, it was like, folks, we got them. And then it's like, these 2, and we see like 2, you know, people that aren't Beatty and Dunaway, you know, in a car, and they're like, huh? Oh,
Right,
you know,
right.
It's like, it's the sort of popular version of their story. This is kind of about their legend, but we learn throughout the film that the legend is not so much. You know, Butch Cassidy thinks he's a genius.
And
He thinks he's a genius.
Yeah. He's not as smart as he thinks. He
And
is.
the Sundance Kid is, everybody's scared of him, but he's kind of like, I don't know. I think he's kind of inconsistently characterized in the movie.
Oh, you
but he
do?
definitely starts out as like, this guy's a dolt. Like, he's a fun dolt, but he isn't. You know, he is not the brains of the operation.
Oh, no.
and He needs
never
to be
claims to be.
managed by Butch Cassidy. But I don't know. I just think the movie's trying to do so much.
Yeah,
It's trying to be funny. It's trying to be tragic. It's trying to say something about.
Well, I think it is funny in parts. You know.
No, it's absolutely no. I'm not saying a funny movie can't. Look, we're about to talk about a movie that is very funny, and it is some of the most horrific things that you could have
Yes.
seen before. What was the singularity of on-screen
Horror?
depravity?
Jeez.
Probably this film, but we're not talking
Maybe.
about that. See, I already want
Yeah.
to talk about the next one. Clearly, I have. Yeah.
Well, okay. I have seen this film before, and I didn't remember it very well. You know what I remembered? I remembered...
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Yes, I remembered the bike scene with raindrops keep falling on my head. Because even when I saw it in high school, I was like, why is this song in here? You know, but...
Is that all you had to say?
No, that's not all I had
Respond
to
to
say.
any one of the confusing and disjointed, but possibly important things that I said about the film. Do you remember any of them? Here we go again.
What?
So anyway, in the beginning, when they showed the little film, what do you think the film was trying to say?
I don't think that the messaging was very clear. It's hard to be a bandit. You know, I mean, like, what, I don't know. Did you think when they were going to go to Bolivia, did you think that they were going to continue robbing? Because, like, for some reason I had it in my head, this was a whole new life. And they were going to turn over a new leaf. And they were going to get jobs before they actually, like, started robbing and thieving and became, well-known.
I think you
down
could guess. They don't really broach the thing about, like, getting real jobs until they kind of get to Bolivia. And even then it's kind of spurred on. They have a little trouble when they can't speak the language. But then they're just, back in business, and ain't it grand? Mm-hmm. The song from Dick Tracy. And who wrote those songs again? Was it somebody famous? Anyway, and then they have to because the guy with the white hat or whatever shows up.
Yeah.
And so they have to get jobs. And then we start to see, like, I don't know, are we supposed to... I don't know. Look, I'm stuck in permanent grad student mode, deconstructing takeout menus. Like, I'm trying to figure out what it's trying to say. Like, is it an indictment of the downside, the underbelly of the American spirit, that, like, we can get what you want and
do what
we're
you
all
want.
sort of free thinkers and outlaws, and that even extends to, like, the heroes of the West who, were rapists and murderers, and that sort of thing. Because it never seems like they did a lot of bad before we saw them, and that's not communicated through that little video that we see at the beginning, if that's what they wanted to do. But when we meet them, they're just fun, and they're running their gang somewhat democratically, but don't pull a knife on me, Ted Cassidy. Mm-hmm. And by the time they get to Bolivia, sure, they're not really repentant. They want to get away because they're going to get caught and killed. But they get there, and they're right back into it. And then they're like, well, we'll go straight as a goof.
Right.
And even then, they're forced to brutally murder a bunch of people. And it just seems like, I know that's sort of where their innocence dies, even though they must have. I mean, we know that, like, Butch has never killed anybody before.
Right, but we can assume that Sundance
They blew up Woodcock a couple of times.
Right.
So anyway, I don't know. I just don't know what it's trying to say. These poor guys, they're so hot. Can't you just leave them alone? They're so hot.
Is it trying to say that you can't change who you are? Like,
no, I think it's trying to say that you can't. Yes, I agree. If the person you are is somebody who refuses to change, I don't think there's anything inherent or special about them being outlaws or whatever. The thing is, they just don't want to change.
Right, and like Edda's trying to help them come up with ideas of what they could do or how they could live their lives differently.
Stunt biking. Listen to me. Check this out.
Whoa, right? You're already doing
the Bolivian circus, yeah. Which, by the way, maybe there's some trickery involved, but when he's doing all the stunt biking stuff, and he passes by her 6 or 7 times.
Yes,
that's Paul Newman on that bicycle.
Are you
freaking
time. Kidding me? I wanted to know that.
Well, I mean, I don't know how they'd fake it, right?
Yes, like, I know. I was thinking the same thing.
He's standing, he's doing a headstand, and he's lying down on it.
He's like lying down on his stomach on the seat.
Yeah, and I know the guy was like, rough and tumble, and he raced cars and stuff like that, but.
That's so crazy.
Your star does a header, and you guys are done for 2 weeks until his face heals.
Well, that scene, I swear, was goofier than I remembered it being, because it goes from raindrops keep falling on my head to, like, circus music. Like, it straight up, like, goes into circus music.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm like, because raindrops keep falling on my head wasn't goofy and schmaltzy enough.
Yeah. And they break somebody's, they break somebody's fence and a bull gets out. And I get that they just don't care. They don't really, they're just self-absorbed, but in a fun way with B.J. Thomas singing under it.
Yeah.
And so I get that. I don't need, like, the scene in Mad Men where they have to picnic and it's all wonderful and aren't we a family? And the car pulls away and it lingers for 15 seconds on all the trash and shit they left behind.
Yeah.
Like, I get that's where it's going, but that's not enough for me after I've seen movies like The Wild Bunch, or even Young Guns, or a movie that owes a lot, owes a lot to this film, The Way of the Gun. Mm-hmm. Remember The Way of the Gun?
Yes.
Which, that's another movie that I think I have a couple copies of that lying around somewhere. The characters in that movie are named Parker and Longbaugh, or those are the names that they choose.
Right.
As an homage both to the characters in this film and the real life characters, but also...
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those are their real names.
Right.
In the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but also because the movie is is doing a thing. Like
Yeah,
it is basically just 21st century. It came out in 98. But Bonnie and Clyde, not Bonnie and Clyde.
Butch and Cassidy.
I
And
probably said
Sundance
Bonnie and
Kid.
Clyde about 6 times. Butch Cassidy, yeah. So anyway, like you've got that, and like the ending of that movie is similar. Stop talking about that movie. I just think that this movie's greatest value is all the things it inspired.
You might not be wrong about that.
The last episode of The Mandalorian is the last 10 minutes of
Butch Cassidy and
Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Well,
Why didn't they just look for that grate that they could shoot out and go down to the lava river?
right.
Keep thinking, Butch.
Yeah. So I did think about because I saw Bonnie and Clyde after this. I'm not sure. I think it came
Better
out
movie.
Before this.
Better movie,
right?
clearer message.
Well-
Although, the pacing in this movie is pretty good.
Yes.
And except for the mid part where it's like, let's go to New York, but that's not really part of our story, and we can't afford to shoot it.
We're just gonna show a bunch of stills.
It's just a bunch of like sepia tone photos of them hanging out.
I know.
That don't really like tell us anything. We know that the Sundance and Edda are together.
Yes.
We know that maybe Butch, has complicated feelings about that. But otherwise, they're just having fun. They're just buying watches and jewelry.
Okay, well,
and they're
I had a
going to a
question
dance,
about that.
and that's it.
I thought they were trying to insinuate, but this never comes back, so this must not be true. I thought they were trying to insinuate that Sundance was buying her a ring, that they were going to get married.
Okay, but I mean, they didn't.
But that was never talked about.
No.
So I don't know if that's really what happened. So
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't write that down.
Okay.
Because the whole relationship between them is just taken as he's just wants a side piece. She literally says, "I'm 26, I'm single, and I'm a school teacher. That's it. That's the bottom of the pit."
I know, which I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. And so she's their good luck charm, and then of course, like when the albatross, is killed or the good luck charm leaves,
Right.
then that's it for them. And yeah, I mean, no, it all works.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was just expecting something a little
more
more grand, a little more complicated, but it is. But I will someday just throw this on and watch it to have a good time, no problem. And I will say the cinematography is unbelievable.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
And the coordination of some of the shots, like some of the setups, like just the use of the depth of the field. When you'll see the riders coming and it's sort of a zoom through part of a tree, and then we'll pull out and the riders are still up in the corner of the screen, but now we join Butch and Sundance as they're sitting on a rock, like behind the trees, going like, "Oh boy, we're in trouble." Or like when they're riding the bike and I don't know how they set this up, but like it's a dolly shot, I guess. But like the camera is panning along the inside of the barn as the bike is riding on the outside, and it's catching them through the slats of the thing. And so it's like it's already 24 frames a second, but it's sort of like cut down to like 12 slivers a second.
I see what you're saying.
It's just like that's just such a neat idea. It's just a neat setup.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely well done. And I
mean,
mean,
it was well done.
What we keep bringing up Bonnie and Clyde, and
yeah, why are we doing that?
Well, because it's another crime movie.
Is it because
it's
a better movie?
They rob places, and it's based on a true story. But I'm really struck by the juxtaposition of the endings, and I think that this could have had an ending very similar to Bonnie and Clyde, where we just see them get shot up. But they made a very specific decision to not show that to us, as if to, even though we know they're going to die.
Yeah, but this movie's about the death of legends, and the death of
Right.
the idea of legends.
Right.
And Bonnie and Clyde is about
Criminals.
two kids being murdered by the state.
Right.
Although they, shot a lady in the face, and they did bad stuff.
Yeah,
but,
they did do bad stuff.
but even that last shot is amazing. They run out in the freeze
I
frame,
know.
and then we pull out, and
We see the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing is I don't even know how they did that back
Just
then.
that, yeah,
like without,
I know, right?
Yeah, so anyway, that was technically I was really impressed by the film.
Well, and I think
and by the technical bike riding by Paul Newman.
I kept thinking about, because I saw this film in film studies, And when I was watching it, I was...
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah. I was thinking about, well, why did we watch this film?
Did you
For
ask the
film
teacher?
studies
Did you
class.
just think that as you walked out of class, or did you ask the teacher?
No, I did not ask the teacher.
Oh, good.
But
School.
I think it's probably for the cinematography.
All right.
I think that's probably what it was for. I mean, and it's heralded as it's a classic, but I mean...
Because people say it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
no.
here to prove them wrong. No. One last thing. No answers. Just think about this. But you're aware of the idea of the nostalgic return, right?
I don't think I am.
There's a reason everybody had bell bottoms on in the 90s.
Oh, sure.
Every
Okay, I
20
understand
years
what you're
or so,
saying
we
now.
sort of look back
Yeah.
to something. And so, the 20 or 30, I don't know, the 50s got really popular in the 80s.
Right.
So I'm wondering if World War I films enjoyed a certain amount of attention in cycles as well. And I have to write it all down to get my theory out. But you've got Paths of Glory in like 46 or 47, right? Mm-hmm. Then you've got this. You've got... Hit me with some other World War I films.
Oh God, I don't know.
Time of the Flapper. Yeah, The Sting.
Sure.
That was, sort of in the teens or 20s, right?
Sure.
So, Redford.
Yep.
And then now you've got 1918, just last year. Mm-hmm. So...
That's true.
Think about it. Think about it. It's an inside joke. That's why she's laughing. All right. Let's talk about your film, because we're over time here.
Yeah. So my film
Tragedy
is...
to comedy. Here we go.
Whoa. Mixture of both. Is The Clockwork Orange.
No, it's A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, is
You're
it
fired.
A Clockwork Orange?
Yes.
Wow, I failed. I'll just see myself out.
In fact, literally, The Clockwork Orange is singular. If you're talking, hey, you seen The Clockwork Orange? It's something special. A Clockwork Orange, you were just one of millions, perhaps billions, of Clockwork Oranges. That's the point of the book.
see.
The book is a lot different than the movie.
Is it?
Yeah, a lot of 17-year-olds or like first-year film students, watch Clockwork Orange and they go, "Oh, check out that book," and you read the book. It's not. It's different.
Is it?
Yeah.
So why is it so different? Just because Kubrick wanted to take it in a different direction?
Yeah. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right, Smarty Pants. Do you want to give a brief description of A Clockwork Orange?
Yes. Alex DeLarge. It's the future, but it's that like this is actually sort of ahead of its time because this was like 71, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like even in the 80s in Britain, there are a lot of like dystopic future stories, and they all had like really impractical couches. And like lots of chrome wallpaper.
That was the future for them? Yeah.
But anyway, Alex DeLarge is leader of a gang of droogs.
Yeah.
Which,
What's
who
a
knows what
droog?
that... Well, there's a lot of Frank Miller teen slang in this.
Yeah,
but,
there is.
Yeah,
there
it's all
is.
through it. That's in the book. Do you think Frank Miller just saw Clockwork Orange and was like, my career has begun? But anyway,
would not be surprised.
no, I won't give it to you in the order we get it. He comes from a fairly normal middle class English family for the future, a slightly dystopic future. But he goes out at night and does horrible things. He's like playing Grand Theft Auto in the real world with the rape mod added.
Yeah.
And eventually he runs afoul of him and his droogies. They can't even get along with each other. And he is captured by the police after he commits an quote-unquote accidental murder. And he is put into prison where he tries to adjust to his circumstances, but he hears about a new treatment called the Ludovico technique. And if you sign up for this treatment, they will let you out of prison as soon as it's over. And so he does that. It is mental torture, basically, and he is released back into the world, essentially without his ultra-violence now, becoming sick at the thought of violence or sex, and there's about an hour of the movie left still.
Yep.
And how is Baby Bird going to make it if you've taken away his only defense against this crazy world?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Wow. There's
Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
I don't know why. I don't have to yell everything. Sorry. He's credited on the screenplay. I'm not sure how much help he got from people involved, but he wrote the screenplay, directed it. What else? Malcolm McDowell stars.
Yes.
Some other people, but Malcolm McDowell's kind of the tour de force here.
Yes.
I'm waiting for you to pick it up.
Oh,
I'm just idling on.
I don't know. He's very, very young.
You don't have to describe how young he is. What'd you think about the film? You'd never seen the film. This whole show is us going, oh my god, it's oh my god, Intolerance. We gotta watch Intolerance, or whatever. And then we watch Intolerance, and we're like, I can tolerate it. So, like, what's your opinion about Clockwork Orange?
It's okay. I thought it was good. It's
we're gonna get the Mika's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid Clockwork Orange.
No. I thought it was good. I knew it was going to be disturbing, and it was. It was incredibly disturbing. It was somehow more disturbing than, in some ways, than I imagined. I don't know what I imagined.
Get to the meat here.
Yeah, but well, I mean, okay, like I guess I'm still trying to. This is a movie that I think you think about, and the more you think about it, the more you unpack. And so I think I'm still in the process of unpacking this film.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what this film is trying to say, because at first I thought it was, that violence doesn't pay, that you will be punished for doing bad things.
Yeah.
But I think it's more complicated than that.
It is, because that would seem to imply that there is a greater good or a greater law.
Right.
There is a God. Although this movie is weirdly kind of pro-religion or Christian.
There is a lot of Christian iconography in it.
Except for his horrible teeth and his kind of like close talker, little touchy-feely. You think they're going for a thing. The priest is the nicest, probably best person in the film.
Probably.
Because Alex is just biding his time.
Yes.
He's reading the Bible and he's literally imagining himself like whipping Jesus like on the way to the cross.
And having an orgy, more or less.
And yeah. I'm not sure that's historically accurate, but yeah. and the priest is like, so you checking this out? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then he's like, so I'd like to take the thing to get me out. And the priest is like, I don't know. That's an expensive, it's expensive. It's experimental. I'm not sure.
And I don't know if it's a good thing.
The right thing.
Yeah.
And then later on, when they've quote unquote cured him, he's like, all you've done is you've just taken away his ability to
choose.
make choices. Like you just removed, removed original sin, or you sort of. Because the whole point of original sin is that man chose to sin.
Right.
But he had the ability to choose.
Yes.
And the humanists were created. And so, I don't know. Tangent. My original point, I forgot. But the point is, it's complicated.
It is.
It's so complicated, I'm not sure that it succeeds.
I don't know that it lands one way or another.
Yeah. I think it's ironic that it's so unclear, not so unclear, but it's unclear enough that we're still talking about it. If it had made a really good point, or presented both sides of an argument well, then we could go, I wonder how I feel about the two sides of this argument. But instead, I think it's vague enough that I'm not sure that's a failing or not, but to me, it feels kind of like a failing. And therefore, we're going to talk about it forever and call it the best movie ever, because it didn't exactly land like a viewpoint.
Yeah. Like, is it really complicated, or is it just confusing?
Well, I think it's complicated because it's a lot like life, in that a victimizer can be victimized.
Yes. I think that's a good point. And I think that's a point the film
criminal
makes.
has rights.
Yes.
And when you play with his mind, and you take away his rights, and you abuse him and you do stuff, that is inhumane, regardless of the fact that he is serving time and is being rehabilitated for something that he did.
Right.
But that's just the social justice in me.
I have a side...
Also, he's a vampire.
Wow.
It's a weird imagery in this film. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a side tangent.
Great. Welcome home.
I know this is based on the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is in the book or if the book was influenced by this or not. I don't know when the book came out.
Oh, get to it.
But I just was reminded of that part in the Ipcris file where, and I think I joked when we were watching it that they basically Ludovico him. They force him to watch these films.
Yeah.
And they brainwash him.
It's not new.
They don't hold his eyes open like they do in this film.
Yeah, ever seen Manchurian Candidate?
I don't think I have.
Well, there you go.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I guess it's brainwashing. It's not a new thing. The new thing is calling it the Ludovico effect, and then pulling your eyes open.
It's a Skinner thing.
Did you?
Not the X-Files.
Why is it called the Ludovico effect? Do you know? Is that something in the book?
It's a goofy sounding name. I don't know. Maybe it translates to something. I don't know. Remember, this show isn't for trivia. I mean, we could just go through the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
And like all Kubrick films, and especially like a film as controversial as this, there's a ton of information about it.
Yeah.
What you talked about the eye thing. Like they promised him they'd get somebody professional in to do it, and I think the guy that they got wasn't the guy that they said. And they're like, he'll be very careful. They scratched his eyeballs.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then like that scene where Dim is like going to drown him in the trough or whatever.
Yes.
That just goes on for a minute. So it's like
a really long time.
So he had to learn to hold his breath for over a minute. He's not only is he fantastic in this and should have won the Oscar, but it's like an acting decathlon. He goes through every possible thing you could have to do, both physically and like psychologically or emotionally as an actor. He does. It's like a race.
Well, I mean, when he's strapped into that thing, not only are his eyelids pulled open with wires, essentially, like little metal bits.
They're little cuff things.
There's a guy putting eye drops in his eyes constantly because your eyes must go dry.
Yeah.
And then also dabbing his face with like cotton balls. And I was thinking, okay, that's uncomfortable too. But also, how would you like to be the guy? You're not really an actor. Maybe you are. How would you like to be the guy putting eye drops in his eyes? I just think that would be like...
Well, presumably you are an optometrist.
Oh, gosh, I hope.
And so you do this anyway.
I guess, yeah. Well,
and so for you, you're just wearing a white coat, and there's a camera running,
and
a guy going, "Oh!"
I know.
Not old Ludwig van.
Yeah. Is it because of Beethoven that it's called the Ludovico? Like, is it like a weird take on that or something like that?
You really want to solve this mystery.
I don't know.
Well, call the Scooby Gang
Yeah,
together.
I know.
Oh, more.
I think it's like, okay, so then when his friends show up and they're cops now, like, I almost feel like, I think that really happened, but you almost feel like the world is so cruel. Like, he's basically, there's a replacement son in his house.
Yeah.
And he gets beat up by the old guy who he was beaten up. Yeah. And then he gets saved by his former quote unquote friends who are dressed as cops. So you're almost like, is this real?
Right.
Or is he like imagining that it's like really his friends?
Yeah, he beats up the old guy. He cripples the other old guy and rapes his wife. Mm-hmm. Then he kills the cat lady or whatever.
Yep.
And so he gets out of prison, and his friends that he fought with, the old guy tries to beat him up. His friends beat him up.
Yep.
The old guy tortures him. The end of the movie should have been just a gang of cats just cracking their knuckles like. There's just, it's not, here's the thing. It starts with a bang.
Oh
so
my God. Yeah, I know.
And for a movie that, I think that we focus a lot on how horrible he is and everybody is a victim, but
right.
Maybe we're supposed to slowly learn that the world is, that's the only response to this world, which is also pretty bad.
Right.
But I think the world could have been a little worse.
Yeah, I mean, we don't...
At some point to sell that.
Yeah, his mom works in a
his
factory,
parole officer or the guy
we don't know that much about.
The guy who, Mr. Deltoid,
Yeah.
clearly is like trying to. I think there's an implication that maybe an exchange of fluids, I don't know how else to say it,
Wow.
between them might help his case.
Yeah.
But it's very, very subtle. There's a lot of subtle, latent homosexuality in this film.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, if you're Alex, you know, you're not interested in that.
No.
And then you just see, like, your school authority as, like, a total perv and a predator. And so, you know, I understand, like, what he did was wrong, but you begin to see all the factors in his world that would lead him to respond in this way.
Right. And his parents seemed very hands off.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No parenting.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it's it's all bad.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a funny movie to show that kind of subtlety when there's 57 tits in it.
Oh my gosh.
And a good dozen just curb stompings. Like it's very violent.
Yeah. Well, and then like the presentation that they do after he's had this horrible experiment.
What I want to
done
know
on him?
is, how do you get that job? Because they introduce,
Right.
they go, here's Alex DeLarge, and he's totally cured. Let's watch. And then
Yes!
the guy comes out in like a checkered sport coat and like a white fro. And he looked like a comedian, like a 70s British
He did.
comedian, you know. So I want to know, how do you get that job? How do you get that job improving with cured subjects, you know? He did a little warm up. We didn't see this. He did a little warm up with the crowd, you know, before
Right.
Alex got there. And yeah, it seems like a pretty good job. But it was like a variety show, you know? So he comes out, he's the comedian. Then we
Yeah.
have the dancing girls come out.
Right.
We
Right.
do that. And so, yeah. And a prayer at the end with the priest.
Oh my goodness.
You see, that's the thing. It's tapping into a lot of like key core things.
Yes.
But I guess I don't want a character to get up on stage and give a speech about what it's all about, but it's messy. But
It's
clearly
super messy.
Clearly it's attractively messy because, you know, we're still talking about it. So.
Well, I know. And I mean, as he's being tortured again after he gets out, like, he thinks the only way out of it is to kill himself. So he's going to jump out the window.
Which, again, that's bad.
Yeah.
I think that we're supposed to see, like, oh, this horrible person tried to kill himself, which he probably deserves. And so now suddenly the minister of justice or whatever who had implemented the Ludovico technique was castigated in the papers.
Right.
And so now we flip, change, reverse. And it's implied, I think, that they reverse the process on him somehow.
Yeah.
And so it's just he becomes this political tool and everything. But the fact of the matter is, good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. You created a technique that makes people want to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Like that's a bad
torture.
thing.
Yes.
And I think in the film kind of treats it like, oh, he's going to get off scot-free with this, and I'm like, he was tortured. It's like some Guantanamo shit.
Yeah. Exactly. It was not a good thing. It's not a good thing to be able to hold that over somebody else and to continue torturing them. I understand where, like, the old man in the wheelchair is coming from. Like, he had a horrible thing happen to him and his wife, but that doesn't give him the right to then turn around and torture the torturer.
What'd you think about the Nazi stuff? Actually, hold on. We'll get to that. I wanted to say real quick that this movie was made 2 years after the movie we just talked about.
Right.
That movie has ketchup blood. This movie has very realistic blood. So what did they have, like, if you went to the prop store back in the day? Mm-hmm. I'm rubbing my hands because I'm so proud of this.
Oh my gosh.
You go into the thing and you go, I need 6 pints of movie blood. They're like, are you doing a comedy or a tragedy? It's like, well, it's a comedy. Okay. It's like Heinz brand movie blood, right? But if you want like no, this is a serious film. We're doing a passion play. It's like, oh, okay. We'll get the real red stuff.
Oh my God.
I like that. I love that line in the movie he talks about, you know, he's gonna vidi some films and the old claret, you know, the old vino starts coming out, you know, and it's like it's the same color everywhere, like it was put out, you know, it's a vintage put out by the same big firm, which is like a weird way of saying that we're all kind of the same inside.
That is a very weird way of saying
through the lens
it.
of a serial killer,
right?
I mean, there was something definitely wrong with him. Don't get me wrong,
for sure.
What'd you think about it? Because they show him, so they're showing him films that are like the worst of humanity, which honestly the films don't. What we see in this film are Was that a choice, you think? The films they show him aren't worse than A Clockwork Orange, the film.
Well, and I wonder if we're seeing what he
yes or no
saw.
answer, but...
You know what I mean? Like,
I think
because
we're
seeing like the characters in the films are dressed like his gang. So that's what I was thinking.
Right, but that's part. Yeah, but they're conditioning him. Right. So that's why you would get that. He's going to associate that now. Right. With.
But did they like get actors to wear outfits similarly to he did?
You are really struggling with this. Yes, they did.
Okay. All right. That's messed up.
So anyway, back to my original point.
Yeah.
So they're showing him this Nazi stuff, right?
Yes.
Now, I don't know what British prisons are like, but I feel like probably after 1946, they wouldn't make everybody wear, blousy pants and a little cylindrical hat
Probably
and
not.
an armband, right?
Right.
So we're doing something there.
Yep.
Later on, there was a line that was like something to the effect of the cure that we gave him when he feels these bad impulses.
Yeah.
He gets sick.
Yes.
And it drives him to then do the right thing, which is, the morality of the burned hand or whatever, but they're essentially saying like nausea is health in this way.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of like 1984, which also reminded me of like oppressive regimes like the Nazis, sort of, like the Ministry of Defense or the Ministry of Peace, is plans all the wars and that sort of thing.
Right. No, I totally get where you're coming from. So the Nazi films.
That was it. That was my whole point.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, you can add more.
Well, I just wanted to mention. So, he says that they play music along with these films. There's no talking, but there's music, and that's why he has this aversion to Beethoven's
I haven't
Ninth
watched Triumph of
later.
the Will, so I don't know if they play Beethoven's Ninth during it. Mm-hmm. I tried to look that up, and I'm not going to watch Triumph of the Will.
No.
So I don't know the answer. I know where you're going, and I don't know. I did think it was weird. It also didn't help that everybody's shouting their lines, and we're sometimes seeing them from far away. So I got the impression that the doctors didn't know what he was talking about.
That he was maybe hearing things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I don't.
that he was delusional.
But the effect of it is, that
the same.
he just can't. But then that also represents for him. That's his theme song. That's his.
Yes. Right.
Let's fire up the old violence. And then, then he goes through, we basically, like, the movie goes through, again, everything else. It's sort of in the vein of, history repeats itself.
Yeah.
First as a tragedy, then as a farce, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the cats.
You're obsessed with those cats.
You like cats.
Oh, yeah, I do. I do think it's funny to imagine the cats.
So I'm going to make one comment, and then we're going to talk about the end, and then we're done.
Okay.
And that is, he's got a lovely singing voice. No.
He does.
I liked, you're already seeing things that we're going to get in, like, later movies. Like, when the writer, who, by the way, he was just writing, and his wife was in a very uncomfortable couch before what happened.
Yeah.
Then later on, we learn either he always was, or because of his experiences, he's become, we don't get into the politics of it, but he's become somebody who is in opposition to the government.
Yes.
And so he wants to we think of him as a victim, but he's victimizing Alex in this case.
Yes.
Anyway, doesn't matter. When he starts to freak out because Alex is singing in the rain, we see the upside down undershot of him leaning towards the door and going,
yes,
he's like shaking, which is like, that's the upside down Jack Torrance shot that we get in The Shining when he's like, "Let me out, Wendy," right?
Uh-huh.
And then it's also shaky Danny from when Danny's doing The Shining. He's like, it's all combined in this one guy.
I see.
Maybe he is the Dr. Sleep Danny. Maybe this takes place in the future ahead of Dr. Sleep, and now this writer is old Danny.
Whoa, mind blown. I mean, it is another Stanley Kubrick, so
right?
yeah.
What? Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
what's happening at the end?
That was
'Cause
weird.
Speaking of going Danny, everything's going great. We're taking pictures. He's the new poster boy of the new face of the Ministry of Health and Human Services or whatever
Right.
it is. And he's like, yeah, great. And then he's like,
And then he has that vision that he's like wrestling with a topless lady with like
wrestling. That's what they're doing.
Well, it doesn't seem like they're having sex. It just seems like they're goofing around. And then they're in between this aisle of
Smashing Pumpkins cosplayers.
well, yeah, people
Yeah.
dressed like in Victorian outfits,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what? And then he says, "Oh, I'm cured. I'm totally cured." Didn't he say that?
There's going to be a cure.
Oh, whoa! I didn't mean to do
I
that.
thought you were doing something.
No, I wasn't doing that.
He
But
finally overcomed.
yeah, oh my god.
No, here's what I think is happening. I don't know. No, I think it's just like it's just sort of I don't know.
Do the cameras with the flashing, does that do something to the experiment that he experienced, and does it like undo it?
Oh, do you think?
somehow?
Oh, he's having a seizure
I don't
because
know.
of the. Okay, no, that's good. I was actually making coffee so we could record this in the last couple minutes of the film, so I didn't see the flashes, but yeah, maybe.
Something, I just felt like something. It's like the flashes were triggering some sort of response.
It's
in
possible.
him.
I think
So-
that it's just it's a sort of mental, fantasy or a representation of kind of what the whole film has really been up to this point. And I don't know why there's snow or why there's melancholy and the infinite sadness is hanging out, but it's just representative of this society, and he's sort of. Oh, maybe it's that his antics are really just entertainment for, the masses. Because his parents believe everything the papers say.
Oh,
the
I
papers
know,
say
right?
he's horrible. They rent his room out and kick him out of the house.
Yeah.
Then the papers say that he was wronged, and it's like an eat me fruit basket.
Yeah, exactly.
Get FTDs, eat me
me.
floral bouquet. Don't eat the flowers.
Or are we supposed to think that he never, when he fell, he survived, but
He's
didn't
been
get,
dead the whole time. It's a
or-
Jaker's Ladder scenario.
or he's alive, but he's not. He's in a coma state.
I
or
think that's
something.
dumb.
Okay.
And also, there's a couple parts in this movie where, pick it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the end of the movie, and the old guy comes in to talk about him, and hey, everything's cool now. And it just goes, he keeps talking. It gives us more and more, he's going to eat. Like that, part was great.
Yeah,
But he kind of goes on for a
bits where
while,
he's,
and it's like,
feeding him. Yeah.
this is where we could we know what's going to happen. Let's just go on.
Let's
just wrap
get
it
to
up,
it.
get out of
Yeah,
it.
right. I agree with you.
Well, I think that's it. I want this to just be an hour this week. So any last thoughts? The music is already playing.
Wow.
Okay, the music's going to go back.
I
knew you wouldn't be able to do this. We got 20 seconds left.
I would recommend both films.
Me too. And I'd recommend that you join us again for the next time we talk about classic movies on COVideos. That's it for the show. Good night.